Hey everyone, GuardianE here with what would have been the live reaction and first impression video for the next Mythic Hero to join the battle in Fire Emblem Heroes. Except I already recorded my full reaction and analysis of the entire thing and lost it all because I accidentally recorded the wrong audio track. So didn't catch any of that. We're going to do a super truncated version of the analysis for the actual Mythic Heroes to enter the game, because for the first time we are getting two Mythic Heroes. So let's get started. We'll just very quickly watch through the trailer together. It's not going to be a surprise. I already know who it is. You already know who it is, but let's just watch through. Naturally, it is Freyja and it is Triandra. I was going to certainly guess Triandra since we're getting the end of Book 4, but we're getting Freyja as well, so we're getting both of them in one banner, which is a huge surprise, and I think part of that is probably because they don't want to run into the same situation they had with Book 3 and Hell. With Hell, they had to kind of delay her release to well into Book 4, so they want to avoid that and kind of cut things clean with Book 4, and I respect that. I totally understand the strategy there. So Triandra here, doing some damage, and then dancing here as well. Hopefully we can go through a little bit more quickly with the skills now that I know what they are, so I'm not like reading them raw, and you can listen to me fumbling with the words and everything. So, it is exciting. I love both of their character arts. I mean, Yoshiku was obviously the lead artist for Book 4, and I think he did a great job on all of the OCs. I think that his particular type of style with the coloring and the shading just works really well with the whole fairy and dream design. So I've always been impressed with his art. Did a great job here, and these characters look great as a result too. So again, we're gonna be truncating all of this, which is why I'm talking through this a bit. But they look great. I mean, I love the goat mom here. I love the actual goat sprite with the horns and the little butterfly hooves and the tassels on the side. And it's a stacked banner. I mean, look at all of these legendary heroes that are going to be dropping alongside the two green brand new legendary heroes. And that's kind of the takeaway, is that there's a lot of value on this banner. It's going to depend on who you have and who you don't have, and what missing gaps there are in your barracks. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of good stuff to be had here. So if you're missing 2 units on any given color, not a bad idea to summon on that color on this banner. So the Mythic Hero banner is going to be starting on the 26th, so for Americans it would be on Thanksgiving, except given the actual time zones and everything, it would probably be, for most people, on the day after Thanksgiving, so on Black Friday, I guess, and then it's going to naturally extend a week all the way until December 8th. So we are getting 2 Mythic Heroes. Obviously, that begs the question for the Mythic Hero battle. Are we going to get actually both Freyja and Triandra at the same time? That could be pretty scary, potentially, I have to say. But naturally, just looking at the banner as a whole, 2 greens, both new heroes sharing a color, that's a huge boon to players. And we'll talk about that a little bit later when we're analyzing the banner as a whole and whether or not I think it's something that's worth summoning for. So let's just, again, very quickly go through the skills, because I already did this at labor, and I'm sorry that I screwed up and didn't record it, but hopefully that means I can be more succinct here. So we're looking at Triandra here and her skills that are available. Flower of Sorrow and Frightful Dream work very well together, because Flower of Sorrow allows her, she's going to be a green ranged, so a green mage flying dancer, which is a weapon and movement combination and utility combination that is just very valuable as a whole. It's worth having, and she's going to play the role as a supporter and debuffer on the team by providing a lot of debuffs through Flower of Sorrow and Frightful Dream. So Flower of Sorrow is going to, in all cardinal directions, provide an in-combat debuff of defense and res -4. That's solid. No real condition needed, and it's just a straight cardinal direction debuff and an in-combat debuff that's hard to negate in general. It's very strong. It's not a lot of frills to it, but that's a very wide-reaching effect, and you know, Triandra doesn't have to be on the front lines for it to happen, and it's something that all of her allies can take advantage of. Now, Frightful Dream is interesting because it inflicts -3 to all stats on opponents and guard on all foes and opponents within cardinal directions of her and the unit she's dancing for or giving a dream to. That is actually a very wide-reaching buff. There's no other conditions for that, and the guard effect can be particularly crippling for some team composition. So -3 to all stats, not a bad debuff. Guard, very strong debuff as well. And the fact that it's going to be in cardinal directions for both her and her target is pretty wide of a shotgun of debuffs on the map itself. When you're talking about 7 tiles wide, it's pretty far-reaching. Attack speed push 4 is just a solid offensive A slot. Aerobatics, as a dancer, she's going to want mobility enhancing skills, and aerobatics is one such skill. So that fits perfectly on her in her role as a dancer and supporter. And speed res rain 3, the rain skills for flyers, or rather for both hybrid teams and flying teams, when you have a flyer in there, is just very strong. And speed rain is a great combination naturally for her, gonna let her double more and let her do more damage. So her kit is naturally geared towards, she can put up a fight if she needs to, but if all things go well, she doesn't really need to, and she's going to provide all of her allies a lot of support by debuffing the enemy team with a whole host of both in combat and out of combat activated debuffs. So Triandra, again, she's got a lot of good stuff going for her. If you need a flying support dancer, she can absolutely fit that role swimmingly. So that's Triandra in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and take a look at Freyja. So Freyja has Nightmare Horn, which is a 14 might weapon, and it's interesting because her weapon is sort of broken up as both a player phase and an enemy phase oriented weapon. So the first part of it, she gets speed +3 and distant counter built into it. She also gets an in-combat damage reduction, in and out of combat, I should say, because it also works on area of effects. She has a damage reduction based upon her speed stat. So as long as she outspeeds her opponent, she's going to get some level of damage reduction up to 40%, depending on the disparity of the speed stats that are being compared. So as long as she has a lot of speed over her opponent, that's a 40% damage reduction, which is nothing to scoff at. And the fact that she can then counter attack from any range, that is the enemy phase oriented part of Nightmare Horn. We're talking about the other section of Nightmare Horn. That is the player phase oriented side, where she turns into the goat mom, into the beast. So it has the natural beast condition where she only transforms if she's next to beasts and dragons or solo. And provided that she has that transformation, she gets attack +2, and as a player phase unit, gets attack and defense -4 on the foe during combat, and foe can't make a follow-up attack. That is exceedingly strong. That is essentially a mini Sturdy Impact, and Sturdy Impact itself is an exceedingly strong A-slot skill, and the fact that it's built and baked into her weapon means that it frees up her A-slot to give her even more stat boosts that she might want. Luna for the special is rather unremarkable, and I'll talk a little bit later. I think you could probably swap something else in there for Luna, but it's fine. There's nothing wrong with Luna. It does the job. For the A slot, attack speed solo 4. So Freyja is going to be a Beast Cavalry unit, Green Beast Cavalry. And because of that, Cavalry naturally overextend when compared to the rest of the team because of their enhanced mobility. They can move 3 tiles. So because of that, they oftentimes are alone when they're running out there as a guided missile into the enemy fray, and the solo skills are a natural fit for that. So she's going to get attack +7 and speed +7 as long as she's not adjacent to an ally. You got Binding Necklace. So this is another solo-based skill, and it's unique to her. As long as she's not next to an ally, it gives her attack speed defense res +2 to unit and attack speed defense res -2 on foe during combat. So it's interesting because that effectively gives her +4 to all of her stats, if you think about it, or -4 to all of the enemy stats. And they split it up that way. I'm not entirely sure why. I think that it's kind of future-proofing it if there are certain elements on the enemy team that cancel out in-combat debuffs or cancel out in-combat buffs. She'll at least still have the other half. So it kind of is not putting all of your eggs in either the debuff or the buff basket. It's spreading the wealth a little bit so that if one part is canceled, she still gets some effect. If the foe has bonuses, so any activated buffs on the opposing target, she will get that bonus. She will essentially get that bonus on herself for that one stat, and also inflict a penalty on the foe for that same stat. So what does that mean? That means if Freyja is attacking into a unit that has +7 activated buffs onto their attack. So they have a cyan color on their stat line, and it has +7 to their stats when you click on it. That means that she gets that +7 as an in-combat buff when she's attacking, and she inflicts -7 on them, effectively canceling out their +7 attack so it zeroes itself out. Now, it doesn't cancel it out specifically so that if like the enemy has certain skills that are conditioned upon having a buff, I think those still come into play. But what it will do is it'll effectively cancel out, it'll zero out the numbers, so to speak. So that's very, very powerful, and obviously works in tandem with attack speed solo, as well as her transformation into a beast. And then Pulse Smoke 3 is interesting. It inflicts special cooldown count +1 on target and foes within 2 spaces of target after combat. It's a natural fit for her because it works really well with the first part of her Nightmare Horn, which is more enemy phase based. If she's going to be a guided missile that goes into the enemy fray, takes out an enemy, and then basically puts the pulse smoke into the enemy forces and neutralizes their ability to gain special charge, well, that's going to enhance her survivability. And again, the first part of Nightmare Horn is about survivability. Damage reduction, counterattack from any range, right? And so Pulse Smoke is just going to further enhance that, because that means that people aren't going to be able to gain their specials and use them against her either, which means that she's going to be taking very, very little damage, as well as getting all of the solo boosts and buffs from Binding Necklace and attack speed solo and everything else. So it's a very, very effective kit for that purpose. We have a lot of cavalry guided missile nukers out there for ether raids and stuff like that, but sometimes they're one-trick ponies, and they go in there, they kill, maybe Gale Force and kill another, and then they're basically dead because they've overextended. For Freyja, not necessarily the case, because she is a threat on enemy phase. She is going to probably be able to double back, she is going to be able to neutralize a lot of damage incoming for her, and so she's going to be a threat on both phases. And so when she goes in there and wreaks havoc and takes out an enemy, she is going to be able to sit there and plant there and tank some hits as they're incoming. Luna, I was going to say, is probably, I don't know if that's the best special for her, because it's not going to proc on the first initiation of a battle for her. She doesn't have any cooldown reduction on any skills or her weapon, so as a result, since she's not going to proc on that first initiation, she's not going to necessarily guarantee the kill on the first initiation, which is kind of what she wants, because she wants to make sure that they're taken out and then Pulse Smoke the rest of them. So, you know, a 2 cooldown special would probably work better, or go the full mile and go for, you know, a Gale Force or something like that. But otherwise, I think Freyja has a fully realized kit. I think it works really well, and she'll wreak some havoc for sure. So let's take a closer look at the actual colors and the units that are going to be available on the banner itself. So we've got it right here, and so naturally, nobody is going to have either Freyja or Triandra. And what I always say on these types of banners is that if you wouldn't mind getting 2 units on a particular color, that is a color that's worth sniping for. The combined rate for those 2 units on that color makes it in your favor, at least compared to other default banners that are out there. In this particular instance, having both of the debut Mythic Heroes on the same color is a huge boon to players, because what that essentially means is that nobody's going to have Freyja and nobody's going to have Triandra. So green is going to have 2 characters that are new, no matter who you are, for any barracks out there. And alongside them is Hel, which is a relatively recent Mythic Hero, who is very, very strong, has guard bearing, very effective. Yeah, I mean, I think green is decked out. I think green has a lot to offer. We went over how Triandra just has a ton of utility as a support dancer. Freyja, I think, is pretty unique. Something that I forgot to mention, and again, I'm sorry I'm speeding through this. It's just because I've already gone through all of this and I didn't record it, and I apologize. Is that Freyja is our first beast Mythic Hero. So that in and of itself has a lot of intrinsic value. So there's a lot of newness here and a lot of value in general, and so green definitely, I think, leads the pack in that. But it's followed up very closely, but what I would say is colorless, because colorless, you've got Legendary Leaf, who is still exceptionally strong. You've got Legendary Corrin, who is very, very recent and has a very unique playstyle of having a damage negating special and being able to retaliate with a boosted attack. And then you've got Shinon, who is not limited, but has that own unique special that he can inherit to archers. So, and he's got, you know, he's powerful in his own right. So colorless just has a lot of stuff going for it. Red, similarly, I think red has Eliwood, who kind of is the weakest link on it, but you've got Brave Lysithea and you've got Sothis. And Brave Lysithea is a unit that probably, if people wanted to have her, but they probably have her, just because by nature of the fact that the way the Choose Your Legends banner and the Brave banner works, you were able to go to pity up to 4 times to get as many of them guaranteed as you needed to. But that notwithstanding, Lysithea is an excellent infantry red nuker. And so red is way up there too, but maybe just below colorless. And then blue has legendary Tiki, legendary Azura, and Anna. So Awakening Anna is not limited in any fashion, but she has an amazing kit as a player phase infantry lancer, and there aren't that many of them out there. We've gotten more recently, but it's still a relatively limited pool of units, and Anna is a strong one. And Anna has a pretty impressive stat line as well. Legendary Azura and Legendary Tiki are 2 of the oldest units on this banner, but both of them are actually still very strong. Legendary Azura still has utility that's unmatched in certain ways. Because of her unique ability to gain an additional movement tile like that, just universally, it's very strong. And then there's Legendary Tiki, who I think some would certainly argue has been taken down a couple of pegs with the passage of time, but at the same time, I still think she's really strong. I think she is very useful. I use her a bunch. I think she's definitely not a lame duck here as far as or a consolation prize as far as a pull is concerned. So all of the colors have great things to offer, and I think they're as far as like the rating or ranking of them, the colors, they're all exceptionally close. I think green is way up there. I think colorless is just very close behind. Red is just close behind that, and then blue might be close behind that. But again, it depends on your barracks and what you're missing and the gaps in your barracks and your strategies that you need to fulfill. But there's a lot of value here and a lot to offer. For me personally, green is a no-brainer. I don't obviously have Freyja or Triandra, and I don't have Hell. I would love actually multiple copies of Hell because I want GuardianE to pass off. And as for everybody else, I have them all except for Legendary Eliwood and Shinon. And I'm not desperate to get either of them, and of course I don't need or want 2 units on any of those colors, 2 focus units. So that would go against my rule. So I think I'm going to be going in moderately for green, potentially. We'll see. But I think that makes the most sense given my barracks and where I currently am in the game. But let me know in the comments below if you're excited for this banner, if you're excited for Freyja, if you're excited for Triandra, or both, if you're going to be summoning on green or any of the colors. Let me know in the comments below who you're looking for. I hope that you get all of the copies and merges that you need. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. I do apologize again for it being exceptionally truncated. I mean, I went through the whole 9 yards and evaluated the art and went through the first reaction of the skills and the first reaction of there being 2 units and 2 Mythic Heroes, and all of it just gone. And I'm very disappointed and very, very sad. But regardless, hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully it was informative, and if it was, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching and for taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really, really do appreciate it. Certainly hoping you're all staying safe, healthy, secure, and united out there, and wishing the very, very best for you, your family, and your friends. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there in the States. Definitely stay safe, stay warm, and stay full. And until next time, let's protect those skies.